Welcome to the To Be Fair Show. I am your host, Johnny P,
Oh, here, real.
It's Q.
and we back.
Um, I actually want to. I want to start it off. I think that last episode we had a couple interesting questions,
Mm,
right? But I did want to start this episode off with this one. We were talking about fatherhood, black fatherhood, um, and we was comparing it to fathers of yesteryear. One would say,
gotcha.
and it was kind of like a light bulb went in my head where I challenged the thought: do y'all think that current day black fathers are look well we'll start it at this. Do you think current day black fathers are the best version of being a black father?
Hmm,
I mean, I think
that's rough. That's a rough one. That's a rough one for me. But go ahead, see. Go ahead. You think you
I,
already got your
I, I mean,
thoughts
I
collected?
think I think so because I mean, I feel like I see, especially amongst my friends and stuff. I feel like this generation, just like with anything, it's a progression.
Mm,
So I mean, I feel like black people are taking a healthy progression, and I feel like I see more of my friends stepping up and being, not just there like for the bills and all that stuff, but actually being there for their kids, like on a day to day with the
Hmm.
homework, just whatever might happen at school, that you need certain counseling on. I see that more, so I would say I think it's healthy. I think it is better. So I'd agree. I definitely
Oh,
think it's something we needed.
I could agree with what he was just saying. But the way I interpret the question was more on like the actual parenting, not
Sure,
the actual being there. You mean I could agree 100%. Like
but
more of the
we
homies I
can
know,
talk about like like the idea of what the roles of being a black
yeah,
father
what it
was
looked
in the
like. Yeah,
past
yeah,
in comparison to right now. Do you think that
yeah.
this is the best version of the black father?
Um, I'll say that. Well, let me just finish what I was saying. We are definitely there a lot more than what we've seen previously. But as far as are we better, I think that you can. It's levels to it. I almost feel like it's got to play out, completely out. We have to see not necessarily the end result, but like what this more, I guess, what we call it, more feminine esque. You know what I mean? Is that the word for it?
So
Feminine
you
esque.
believe that black fathers right now are more feminine?
No, no, no. The question that you posed was more like, what is it? The maternal instincts, them having more
Well, no,
maternal
I think
instincts.
that black fathers in today's time
Mm.
have they exhibit more maternal, well, like classic traditional maternal attributes than
Than they
fathers in the
did
past,
previously.
which will go into like the idea of actually nurturing your kid.
Mm-hmm.
You go into like sitting down and doing homework with your kid,
Oh yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
actually like being vulnerable and sitting there and listening to their vulnerabilities and building off those things.
yeah.
I
I
think that
think that
those are
that's
naturally maternal characteristics that they're naturally characterized as being maternal.
okay.
Not
Okay, I can
saying
see in
that
which.
like I don't see that as feminine per se. I'm just
Yeah,
saying in the
yeah,
classic sense
maternal,
of
having more maternal
yeah,
instinct,
yeah.
or like, yeah, present yourself more. I no, I would say that definitely in the time period we are in, that is definitely to the benefit, and it is much better. Um, Based in this time period. I think that the way that they parented then was because of the scenario that was, what I mean, what that we were in general. Now it's time more mental health conversations. We
Okay.
got, what I mean, this bullying thing. The kids ain't, I don't know what it is. The skin ain't as thick. You got,
I
we
think bullying is
definitely.
healthy. My bad. That's
Yeah, you
another
said. I remember you
conversation.
said that. Yeah, yeah. I remember you said that. But I'm just saying, like, it's definitely, I think that this is probably for the current time, this is probably the a much better parenting strategy from the men
Hmm.
and the fathers than the predecessor.
Gotcha. Um, I agree. I think that to me, I think this is the best version of fatherhood in the black community, in my opinion,
Mm,
because of the two things that we hit on. They're there. We are there.
mm-hmm.
We're active, and we're active inside multiple capacities. It's not just the idea of that I'm going to make sure that all the bills and everything is paid, then I'm gonna go in my room and just sit and chill
Mm-hmm.
and you know what I mean, do whatever I'm doing and let mom handle all the other things. Whether you're, working 40 hours or not, every black father that I know makes it an intentional thing to be present inside multiple aspects of their kids' lives
Facts.
as much as possible, whether it's a co-parenting situation, whether it's a two-parent household situation. But I think our generation is probably like the effect of having like a lot of those older generations where there was single parent mothers and different things like
Mm-hmm.
that, where the black fathers are probably living out the fantasy in which they had as a kid.
I
Where
think
it's
so.
like, I wish I had a dad that was here and present to do these things with me and be here for me inside these different aspects per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can agree, but that's also we talk about this quite often offline, like how our lens can be shaped by, what I mean, the environment that we allow ourselves to be in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I know that, what I mean, of course, like you say, that just based on the person that you are, the people that stick around are going to be more like you and more like-minded than the people that tend to drift away.
Hmm.
So I know that there's some drifters more than likely, or some, some individuals that aren't right here in our faces that
Yeah.
ain't necessarily, on that same type of time. But at the end of the day, I will say at mass scale, even still, it's more fathers that are in their in their children's lives than before, because at the end of the day, hell, I started meeting niggas like, hell, Johnny. I probably know. Let me see, Johnny, you. It's so like I can't count on. I don't. I got too many fingers to know how many niggas grew up with they pops in their life. I got too many fingers. You know what I mean, to know like niggas that I know right off.
Are you saying that you know a lot of people or you don't know a lot
I
of people?
don't know many people at all that grew up
Okay,
in
and
a
what you're
two
saying
parent
is that me and
household.
Johnny are like
All right,
two
Yeah,
so
yeah,
outliers.
all the outliers.
Okay,
You know what I
got you,
mean?
got you, got you. All right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I definitely think it's we doing a better job. We're definitely doing a better job.
Nah, for sure. I guess I don't know. I throw it to the illustrious crowd.
So I guess my question is, what are we comparing today's black fathers to? Are we comparing it to our fathers or our grandfathers or our great grandfathers?
Good question.
well, I think we
To
got
me, I would say whichever version you wanna put up to bat. I think that the fathers in the past were amazing at what they did. And I don't think that is important. I think it's important to make sure that we don't take anything away from that.
and I think
I think that
they did amazing with what they had too, man.
yes,
Coming from where they came from too. I think that's
yes. So
for
I
sure.
think that's probably like one of the first things to make sure that we hit on. Like this isn't the idea of bashing previous fathers or anything like
Yeah,
that.
no, but we still gotta feed niggas and be honest though. I'm 100% like with accountability, bro. And I talked to my pops, and we got the type relationship where he did a shit job. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And I got homies like I say, most of the homies' fathers wasn't there.
Yeah,
A
it was the
shit
full
job,
generation
like,
in which that
yeah.
was
So let's
his own thing.
yeah.
But I
But I'm
guess
just only thing I'm saying, let's not try to,
well, no,
mansplain away the
not that. But
bullshit.
my what I was getting to was the idea. What I took her question as is
Mm-hmm.
the fathers that were there and what they did, like in us comparing how they raised their kids, the fathers
Mm-hmm.
that was there. And I think that those fathers that were in the house that was building families, I think that their role was different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they did well for what they were doing. But I think that in general, with generations, with life, with anything, there's an evolution of it, right? And I think that inside this current age, we're the most conscientious parents that there has ever been. Like
I'd
we
agree for sure.
really like. I think us as a generation, and I mean, we could take it out of parenthood. I think that in general, like us as people, we're more conscious of what we're actually doing because of the hive mind of the internet, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're always consistently checking and seeing. But that does have a positive recoil when it comes down to fatherhood because of one, everybody wants to have some level of feel of accountability in saying that I'm actually being a good father. Like that part, like one of the positive recourses of like the social media thing would be
Yeah.
that part
And that's
is that
okay. Go ahead.
it does hold a certain esteem to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes down to like the actual parenting and parenthood part, like I think as fathers, this generation just is like I mean we're providing as much as we can, but I would also say that the other parts, the things that might
Mm-hmm.
have been ascribed maternal, I think this generation is doing a lot better, doing a better job at including that inside their job description as well.
I got a question that just came up from that. Now it's kind of an asshole question, but
Here you go.
this a question though. Do you think? Because most of the dudes I know, right, that's doing like a job, like with their kids, and they got them doing their thing, like that. I really respect.
Okay.
They don't be posting about it though.
You said they don't?
Nah, most of the niggas that's really doing what you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They don't be posting about it.
People that post they
Well,
I'm saying, I said most of the dudes that I know that's
Well,
like, I'll be like, nah, bro,
but
on
I
his
can,
shit.
but I can answer that, right? Because I don't post a lot, but
Right.
you know what I mean, like 4 pretty much 6 to 4 days out the week, my son is with me. I'm in a co-parenting situation,
Right.
but there is a heavy amount of the fact that like my son is with me.
Right.
Just between like his level of activity and the different things that I'm doing. But at the same time, I'm not inside the generation that posts all the time. So
We
I
are a
don't
little older,
specifically
too. Okay.
post all the time. But at the same time, there's also moments that I think is important to just be y'all moments. I think
no, I'm not disagreeing
no.
with niggas, but
I
go ahead.
understand what you're saying.
Go ahead.
In which I also do think that there is probably a space where I probably could post more and make sure that I'm giving like that motivation to other fathers to make sure that they're on top of whatever they're doing and different shit like that. But yeah, I mean, just staying to what you're saying. Like I could, like today, for example, I could have posted from the moment I picked him up, and then we was in the gym all. I mean, he had multiple basketball games, and now he outside. Like I could have made a whole story about that
But
shit.
nigga, do you agree or disagree? That was
All right, so
a
what's the
yes or
question?
no question.
That
The
it's
question
important.
was no. The question was the niggas that actually be in the in the trenches with their kids, like really
Okay.
in the shit. Do you notice that they don't post as much of the being with their kids
I don't
shit?
know.
Then
I think
No,
it's
I think
just,
that's
I mean,
such
most
hard because
people our
I
age
just
that
wouldn't
are
know.
on top of their shit in anything don't post as much. Because I mean, we like grown adults, so I mean, if you like
that
taking care
And
of business, you probably ain't got that much time to just be
and
posting
that's where I
about your
agree with.
yeah
kids,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
like
job.
today,
Oh,
it
and
wouldn't
it's
be a
just
reason for
life.
me to
It's
sit
not
and
like
think
no,
about
you
it.
know how people post their highlights. It's not a highlight. This is just my life.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That was the point that I was trying to
Oh
make.
no, I get it. In which I understand the other recoil to what you're saying, where the niggas that ain't really on top of their shit. As soon as every time that they with their kid,
They
they're
post.
probably making a post because the rest of the month they ain't about to be with them. But to me, I can't judge that only because I can judge that part, but I can't say that the fathers that are with their kids are or are not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm
No, I
saying?
understand what you're saying.
So it's a slippery slope, and the way my boy Johnny P is with black women, I'm with black fathers. Well, it's gonna be hard for me to like really dog like a black father that's actually really trying. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt at first.
Right,
Like if
right.
you're doing a shit job, I'm still gonna come for you. But I'm gonna throw you the bail first, and then when it's rightfully so, the nigga can get fed. We got it. We
got a
bouncing back.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just to kind of piggyback off of what you said about the fathers that are actually doing it and not posting. So, if more men posted on social media, do you feel like it influences you or other black men to be better fathers?
Damn.
I-
I would say yes.
I mean,
Okay.
it
I
would
think that
put
the lack
pressure.
of the men's lack of, and I think in general, our lack of voicing ourselves is to the detriment of us.
Okay.
Our lack of being aggressive on social media about accomplishments, and you know what I mean. It
Okay.
is to the detriment of us, but it's so natural for
Because
us.
it allows us to be painted inside different ways.
Yeah, because
Okay.
the thing is,
Would allow the narrative to be-
Yeah.
your accomplishments is going to always make me. You know, what I mean? It makes me want to do more. Makes me want to strive to do more. Like even just seeing, like you said, you was with QJ all day. Like me being here and seeing it, it's like, yeah, that shit's more
Yeah,
motivation.
but when it's a regular thing, you don't really think that.
Oh,
but
no, I
but I
still
get I
think
get
to
I
think
get
it.
how it can be a motivational tactic for other people.
Yeah, no, we should
for
definitely
sure
do
as well.
more. That's a great question.
I think with how much social media influences our environment that it's to the point where, dang, maybe I should post so people can see I'm an active father. Like that validation from social media right now is crazy to think about because when you're a parent every day. You're not just a parent for that 1 minute that you post or the stories that you post on your thing, So it's like the fact that social media has people in a chokehold and everybody's seeking validation through social media. The fact that we were having a conversation of maybe men should post more for influence, it's kind of like, that's crazy. Like,
I agree with
social
that too.
media should be used, like, when you want to. I don't think it should be used as a primary tool of gaining validation or showboating.
And based on what she was saying, it's not necessarily for you to gain followers and shit. Because at the end of the day, you obviously don't give a shit about followers because you ain't posting it now, and it's your everyday life. So what she's saying is like, do you think that if we did
It could have been.
post,
No, I
could
think
it
that
benefit? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that it can benefit, but it's also the fact that it's a thing that you like. It's just it's not even a double-edged sword. It's just the fact. Yes, this could be a positive thing, but if I don't know whether you want to say you're not that type of person that posts all the time, or if again, I don't know. I would almost take this backwards, right? To where this is what I see when it comes to posting. I feel as though first time parents and younger parents post all the time. It's not as much that you see like as your kid starts to get older and then they're 15 and they're 14 and they're you know what I mean, as it's matriculating, that you post as much. And I think like that's just this natural progression of whatever, in which you see everybody as soon as they got a newborn, it's a bunch of picture type shit. But
Oh yeah, I posted my daughter that one, and then
well, you
that's
also don't
really-
post a lot anyway. Like you don't post pictures a lot. You throw some like Facebook comments out there,
Yeah.
but you don't post pictures a lot either.
Yeah.
And with like I'm very much so the same. Like it's even all the way down to the fact that right now, and I want to get more intentional about taking photos.
Facts.
Even if I don't post it, I just want to have more pictures.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm a live in the moment type of thing. And going to what Taj was saying, where it is the other side of the coin too. Could this be beneficial? Yes.
No, I see it.
But it is weird that like if you don't need the validation from social media, why is it important for you to do that? Even though like it could be positive.
My thing is, I think it's sad. Like, I guess kind of where we're getting to is like, if niggas gotta post their kids on the internet to make other niggas take care of their kids, I think that's a very dangerous, place for our society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, nah, that's
Is that, are we putting a pin in it, or is it any other questions from the gallery?
I don't want to say, just to piggyback off of Newton, I don't want to say that it's bad because other guys are posting their children, that it could be a sticky situation. Because, for example, when I'm not a poster, but when I'm on social media, I use it to look at like ideas or get influence to try a new project or maybe go on a family trip. So um I don't know. I feel like social media just has its pros and cons on how you use it, and how you use it personally. It depends on you. If you think that it's going to influence you, then follow that person and be influenced. If not, keep it pushing or don't use social media at all. So I mean, I think everybody's views on social media is your own personal view. I don't want you to think, oh, because I see dudes posting like they're a good father, oh, they're not posting, they're not a good father. Like, no, it's just it's social media. It's how I feel, and it's what I decide to follow at the end of the day. But
Facts.
agreed.
You know what? I'll piggyback off of that. I remember there's a point in time where I wanted to work out, so I intentionally started following more workout people, like more workout pages on Instagram, as a way to like kind of motivate me to work out.
Did it work?
Nah.
It did the opposite, didn't it?
I was like, oh, dang, that's a nice workout. Save it. And then I never went back to it.
Facts.
Then I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, that's a great fucking idea. Then did it work? Nah, well, shit. Hey,
Not for
sounded
me.
good. That's what it, hey,
Yeah.
it sounded
I be following
good.
cooking pages and I don't cook no more. So
That's
Like,
spaghetti.
Come do it.
The
Johnny
nigga knew
P.
it.
Goddamn.
Johnny P, as a single man on the panel,
yes, man.
what are your go-to meals?
Oh, we gonna go into that. Well, y'all know me. Spaghetti is gonna be like my go-to. Like that is me.
Hey, tell a nigga
And then you be
eating-
making like different kinds of spaghetti, or you just gonna slam that same spaghetti over and over?
I mean, I switch it up. I adjust my seasonings a little bit. Sometimes I make it a little hotter. Sometimes I throw in some bell peppers. Different.
Man, he was supposed to say, I
I think we're
could.
gonna throw some
Hey,
Texas Pete in that
That nigga,
bitch.
he was supposed to say, yeah, and I could cook some breakfast. That would have been the other nigga shit. You know?
Nah,
Hey, a
nah,
nigga, say a nigga can't fry some eggs, bro.
Oh
Nigga be having the
Now, breakfast
yellowest
is one of those
eggs.
easy go-to ones.
Yeah.
Johnny P,
What?
do you make breakfast?
I'm not a real big breakfast eater.
That nigga
I don't
can't
have
cook.
time in the
I
morning
ain't
to
gonna.
cook.
He can't cook,
The
bro.
fact this nigga
Okay.
said I can't make breakfast.
I didn't say I
Yeah,
couldn't.
Listen, I'm the
I
resident
can make
not
eggs.
cooking
I can
nigga.
make eggs,
too.
And I can
toast,
make
bacon,
breakfast.
Bruh.
pancakes. I can do it, but I don't. I'm not a big breakfast person. I'm not gonna wake up at 7 a.m. and cook or 7. Yeah, I'm not.
Why you gotta
waking
wake up that early?
Exactly. That's
Cause that's what I work. That's all.
What about your day off?
Honestly, no.
When we get Johnny doing that, you know he's slithering. That nigga-
So is spaghetti the
That nigga,
only?
hey, that nigga Johnny got the he got that. I like to cook on his POF page and shit, trying to entice a motherfucker. No, good in hell where this nigga can't cook
Oh
shit.
nah,
but
nah.
spaghetti.
I would never play myself like that.
Now I
would
will go to
throw it
bat
out
for
there.
him. His spaghetti that he let us try
Oh, that spaghetti
honestly
was
was
good.
the stand-up spaghetti.
Tell him.
That's what's up.
Stand
But
up.
I want to know. I want to know what else can you cook? Is that it?
I mean, I can do chicken.
What's
I
that like? Baked chicken, grilled chicken,
Air
smothered
fried
chicken.
grilled.
Are you frying chicken?
I got an air fryer. I could do the air fryer. I could do the
That's
air
it.
fryer. I could do the air fryer.
Well, you know, my theory, I feel like every single man, this is just my theory, I could be completely wrong, but I feel like every single man, when you get to a certain age, you need to know how to cook some type of pasta and some type of meat.
Yeah.
Like
Nah,
just
it's a
one
fact.
of each. And then
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
easily, like, you know,
That's all
throw
you
your
need.
sides, boil them, you can put them in the oven, whatever.
Real niggas know you fried
You need
chicken. That's
two
easy.
type of things that you can make, and then
Alfredo.
sides.
Yeah, that's how
Alfredo.
you switch. That's
I
how he
got
was
spaghetti.
supposed to pivot. He
I
was
got
supposed to
another
go from the
go-to. I got
spaghetti to
another
the
go-to.
Alfredo.
I got another go-to too. I like the salmon too.
Oh, you make the
okay.
salmon?
I do the
Okay.
baked
Over the
That's
rice.
all right.
over the rice.
Over the rice.
Yeah. So I'm
Hey,
not-
So-
black people love salmon like they love Henny, bro. Like,
that is fact.
Hey,
like niggas just want
is
salmon
fact.
everything now. I
and then
don't
you
know where it
something,
came
too?
from,
Them
but
damn lobsters and shit. They got them crabs and shit.
yeah. Oh, no, the crabs.
The
yeah.
crabs came through tough.
But niggas always love crabs.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a salmon epidemic. It's like how niggas. Well, right now niggas on tequila.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
How like niggas suddenly love Casamigos. They suddenly love salmon.
It ain't been something.
I don't think it's suddenly on
That shit ain't been over 3 years. Stop
I
playing.
don't know about the rest of them.
Well,
I've been
ladies,
loving salmon.
ladies, if you're watching, just know Johnny P is single, and he can
my
cook
man.
you some pasta.
I did lobsters for.
And he can also cook
Christmas,
lobster.
for Christmas for the fam. I
And he
did
can get you
lobster
some
ribs.
chicken. What else can you make?
I mean,
We got to give the people a menu.
I gotta go back in my recipe, my mental recipe book. But I got a few. I mean, I ain't, I don't like cooking. I'm not the, I'm gonna go cook. But if I have to get in there, I know my way around. I know what the spices are.
So, ladies,
That's only 'cause he put
ladies,
them
if
in
you're
there, though.
interested, this is a little tidbit. Don't let him come in your
with
house because he think he's gonna cook. You gotta go to his house and make him cook.
Ooh.
See what he can make.
Oh, that's hey,
He
that's
putting the pressure on you, my boy.
All right. So we putting the pin in it.
No, I think that's a good place to stop. I like, y'all got me off my game a little bit, but that's good.
All right. Well, let's hop into another question.
So, that actually goes to something we was talking about last week when, defining our terms. I guess we could get into, the term submissive and, submissive versus compromise.
Right.
That's rough.
I'll let y'all boys,
So
This
what
nigga
is the
always
question?
trying to goddamn throw it over.
right.
Yeah, I'll be trying to
So,
throw it to me too. So
Oh yeah, nah, facts.
Yeah, nah, we definitely be hitting that nigga to answer first a lot of time. But all right, so I guess in essence defining our terms, right? So last week, what did we define? Just the general structure of modern versus traditional.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what we came to as a consensus as it pertained to for the pod. So we talked about submission, and we and I felt like niggas was ready to give out please, but we gonna
Please
see,
doing what?
huh?
Please
Like
doing
cop
what?
and please.
For what? But what conversation? You talking about last week's
Yeah,
conversation?
yeah. When I was getting inside that,
ain't
that
nobody copping no
when I was getting inside the submission bag. But I think today be a good we can kind of get into it. We also talked about black men, or not even black men, do men submit to women? That's a further one. But let's start off on generally what we see submission is.
I have an observation.
Yes, sir.
My nigga Johnny has said multiple times
Okay.
that he believes men and women submit in relationships.
Yeah.
I think that he should define submission first, so I can understand where he at with it.
Now,
Because he
this
done
is a
said
fact.
that multiple times.
no, cool. No, I agree with that. I agree with that, and that's why I like.
But Johnny also in the BDSM, so you don't know what he might.
cap. That is cap.
Nigga said
That
cap.
is cap.
Cap.
That is cap. Don't believe this, man. That's
So
but I'm good on that. I'm all right. I'm all right.
All right,
But I mean, well, and I guess this. I'm glad the word compromise came up because maybe that's what I meant when I said men. But I think as a man, if you're with a woman, there's certain things that you're gonna have to do or that you couldn't normally do if you weren't in that relationship. And maybe I was using the word wrong. Sometimes that happens, but I definitely think there is a compromise in any time relationship
so
for
let's get
sure.
into our
comes.
submission bag.
But hold on, let me just make sure.
all right.
I just got one. I just want to make sure. So now, just to be sure, you're saying that men don't submit in relationships.
I feel like we should just find the terms out first, and then I can
Oh,
go
okay.
back
Then
and,
you can go
and then
double
I
back.
That's
can
fair
go
enough.
back,
I feel it. I ain't
think
mad
that's
at you.
then I
That's
can
fair.
go back and answer it.
I
Don't
ain't
box
mad at
me
you.
in. I feel you.
Yeah.
That's all he told you.
He looking for an out like a motherfucker,
All
but
right. But yeah,
I
so
get
we
it. It
can
makes
toss it
sense.
to you to start with your general definition, and we can build it out from there.
Well, I mean, I don't really know the difference between a man compromising and a man submitting, so I don't know how that would look different. Maybe I was just used the wrong term
So,
last week.
matter of fact, I think maybe this would be a good thing. We have a couple ladies in the room,
Here we go.
and I would also say that typically what we hear a lot, whether social media or in just in conversation, you hear women say, "I want a man that I could submit to,"
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether inside the traditional paradigm, modern paradigm, whatever. What would y'all say submission looks like? What? How would y'all define submission? Because it might sound better coming from a woman's mouth, and
We
then we
don't
can
want
kind of
Webster. We don't want
yeah.
Webster. And we want to know how you feel about how you define the word yourself.
All right, so
They getting
I'm
the
gonna throw
game
it
plan together.
to
You see them?
They
Miss
They working
L.
together. They definitely working together. Co-op mode.
So, well, first I'll start with compromise. So, compromise is when two people come together to make a benefit that's mutual for both parties, right? And submission is when one person gives the other person the benefit.
You said gives the other person.
The benefit.
Hmm.
So, I'm sorry. What was your question?
I don't care about compromise. I just care about. So how would you define submission? We're talking about submission. When a woman say, "I want a man I could submit to," what they talking about?
So I think the first thing that comes to my mind because okay, me being single and having a child, I'm an independent woman, right? So
She did quotes just so y'all know. She
That was
did.
crazy. It's going
did.
crazy.
I don't
Means some
use
shit.
no, but I don't
This right here
normally
means
use
some
the
shit.
title.
She
So
shook
that's
her head a
why
little too. It was multiple things that happened.
Right.
I don't use the
Niggas-
title. We just briefly
All right.
talked about this, but
Submission.
I have my own. I have my own house. I work for a really good company. I take care of all my bills.
Are you saying that this
I
to
am
say
an
that you're not going to
independent-
submit?
No, listen, but I
Okay.
am an independent woman, right? So I handle
Those
mine.
came out again just so y'all know. Go
I
ahead.
handle mine. Like, so when I'm looking for a partner, I'm not looking for someone that's going to come in and just save the day.
Okay.
But it would be nice if they could take on some of the responsibilities that I have just because they want to, not because they feel like they have to or I'm making them or anything like that. So I want to be in a relationship where I'm comfortable letting my guard down because I know he will be able to step in or step up and take care of something that I may lack in or I may just be so tired one day that I just can't handle. So then I'm just like, all right, well, I'm cool.
You about to.
Hey,
You want to go up? You want me to go?
Oh no! I want. So, are you willing to submit to a man?
Yeah, you didn't define.
Yeah, that's what I
submission at all.
wanted.
You should be
Submission-
talking about like how you want your
submission to me
relationship
is-
to be.
No, submission to me is letting my guard down and fully trusting in someone else to take care of something. So yeah, I feel like once I find, like right now, I'm dating a guy that I feel like I don't have to be rough and tough and I don't have to be the one that's always trying to figure something out because he's come in and he's like, nah, I got it. I'm going to plan this. I'm going to take care of that. And I don't feel like I always have to do something. Like, I don't know. When I hear submit, I just feel like relaxed. Like I'm just chilling and letting him take ownership of it. I don't feel like I always have to be in charge. So that's when I hear the word submit.
Okay.
What would be a good way to summarize that?
I think what happens is a lot of women are very guarded. Like we're always on the defense. We're always on because I think there's a part I'm talking in particular about Black women. I think there's a part of us where we always have to like defend ourselves,
Okay.
and we always have to do for ourselves, right?
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm trying to talk through my thoughts. So when you're thinking about dating, like after a while, like having to constantly be on and all of this stuff, it gets very exhausting for us. So when we think about submit to a man, we're thinking about someone like Elle was saying that can come in and kind of like help alleviate some of that pressure. Like you'll have people who get into relationships with other people and their guard is still up. It's a very combative relationship because they're not comfortable with the person that they're with, to kind of take that wall down, to just kind of chill out. It's like a defense mechanism, I guess you could say. So
Okay.
when you're thinking about submitting, you're thinking about, like I always say, having a safe place to land, right? Or soft place to land. So when you think about that, you're thinking about a partner that makes you feel safe to where you can let your guard down and let them take control over certain aspects and let them deal with certain day-to-day activities. Does that help?
Yeah, I think that.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, to me, and just to be completely honest, it sounds like compromising to me. It sounds like what you want is somebody to pretty much help with what your load is and take some of your load off. And if he's able to do that, and you're confident in his ability to take the load off and be able to perform, that is like what
Is that leading or
submission?
submission?
Is that what I'm just summarizing
Because
what I felt.
like I don't know. To me, I don't know if
Hold
we've
on.
like actually touched on anything. Like when we speak about submission, what are like the terms in which we're usually kind of like talking about someone needing to submit? So
Well, Johnny
if
P-
we're talking about like say a man and having his woman submit to him, or like when a woman say a guy that I could submit to. What are typically the terms in which she's looking to submit? Is that submitting to his leadership as it pertains to the household and how he feels it should be ran? Is that submitting? I don't know. So I hear this term constantly, in which you will see a woman say, "I want a man that I feel comfortable submitting to," but by submission, are we specifically only talking about the idea of just being inside a modern relationship where I can let some of the things that I do on my own have this person do as well, and then I can feel comfortable with this person because that's to an extent what y'all kind of explained out. If I'm not
Okay.
wrong, is that not what it sounded like?
Yeah,
They
it sounds
said?
like more like a helpmate. That's
Yeah,
kinda
I
what I'm
wouldn't
getting
see
It
from
didn't
it.
seem.
I wouldn't see it as a helpmate. I think it's just more of someone that you can trust to guide you. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So like, when
See,
you
now
think
Now
about
that's
it, like,
more than what we.
Now,
That's
so, like,
more than what I
biblically-
that
understand.
changes it a lot
Yeah.
right there.
so if you want to think about like biblically, right, the role of a husband is to lead the household, lead the
right.
family, right?
Yes.
So when we're thinking about submitting, we're wanting someone that we can trust enough to let our guard down, to let them do that. Like I was saying, as a Black woman, we constantly feel like we have to do everything ourselves, with the man being out the house, whether it's incarceration, murder, whatever happens. Like we are a group of women that lack fathers, that lack men in our lives on a consistent basis, right?
Okay.
So whether you don't have a dad, something happened, like for example, my brother was murdered, but I still have a father in my life and I still have other brothers. So like there are many women in my situation that don't have that. So when they grow up, they have to be, like Elle was saying, a strong, independent woman because they literally have their own back to fall on. So that also
Yeah,
makes
coach
them,
there
as
as well.
people say, unagreeable and things like that, right? So when you think about just being able to just kind of woo side and just let that side out, it's like I want to be able to trust this person to know that the stuff that I've been doing, they can do. So like instead of me leading myself, you can lead me. You can lead the household.
Well,
You can-
this becomes like I think that this is the progression to what we were saying. At first, it seemed like y'all were kind of like inside a partnership role, but as you just kind of defined it, it's more so being able to take a step back and allowing this person to lead the actual household.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Like I'm still responsible for whatever I'm responsible for. Like,
Right.
however the relationship plays out, whatever roles that you guys want to define between the man and the woman. Cool. But yeah, just being able to take a step back and let that man do what the man should be doing.
So I have a question. So based in just so I'm getting this most clear answer as I can get, in said submission, does that mean that if you all disagree that he's going to have that final say, so that the family's going to move in that direction because he is the leader of the household?
For me, now it's going to vary for women, but for me, yes. I know for myself, like the partner that I'm going to choose, I trust enough to make that final decision. We can discuss it, but ultimately that decision is going to be yours. So whether that's, us deciding on what school district our children is going to be at, where we're going to live, things like that. Like I said, the person that I trust is going to be, I want to say like intelligent enough to make those decisions, and they've weighed the pros and the cons, and they're not going to have me in a situation where I'm just looking crazy and I'm just out here on my ass or anything like that. So,
For sure.
for me, yes, because that's how I vet my partners.
Right.
L.
And see,
It
my
seemed like
bad.
you
Go
had
ahead.
like
Yeah,
Miss L.
So you
I
you
think-
disagree with her definition of submission, or you don't believe in that
last-
version of submission?
The last response, I'm not going to say that I disagree. I'm just not on that level right now. I'm dating. So I don't have I'm the head of the household. I'm not looking at a male as head of the household. So back to what you were saying, I think that for me, that would be a compromise. If I don't agree with something that he's saying, okay, well, let me like, I'm gonna come up with what I think is okay, and then let's meet in the middle and see what's gonna work for both of us. As far as him taking the lead, yeah, I would like to see that eventually, like if we got to that level of we're living together or we're getting married. But right now, I don't see any decisions that he will be making that I need to be like, oh, well, let me follow suit, because there's no ring on my finger. He's not paying no bills in my household.
So it seems like you took it specifically instead of we're defining out the word submission. Right now, it sounds like you were saying that right now you're not willing to submit.
No,
But did you
and
disagree with like her term?
And that's a specific answer. I don't agree. I don't think that's submission. I think I would consider that compromise. What?
Well, you got to pull up a
your
mic or
mic.
something, yeah. But
You know it's real fucked up when the head start to turn after the side. You get about 3 seconds, and then motherfucker just start looking like.
Everybody be waiting for the
yeah. Well, because I ain't want to keep because but
So what I was really about to ask though is like, do you believe that you can submit in a regular, like a woman should be submitting in a regular relationship, or is that something that should be reserved for marriage?
Earned.
but all right. So
For
I think,
marriage or just like earned?
I mean, well, yeah, even or committed relationship.
But,
yeah,
all right, so-
some people don't believe in marriage. I
It
mean,
should
but
be-
if you're together, for 7
It should
years,
be
you're
a
married.
committed, or
I
it should be
just want to
something
hop
that's
in real
worked to.
quick.
Definitely.
Can I hop in? Because we're like changing the complete conversation. All we're doing is defining submission. Right now, y'all are talking about when you should submit. And
I like
Nah,
the
but
meat and
that's not-
potatoes, though. I like the
that's not
meat and
really
potatoes,
changing.
but
Well,
we
I
should
mean-
define the word first
right, and
before we
that's
get
what I'm
into
saying.
meat and
I think
potatoes.
that-
Like if we're defining it, then how can you define submission if we don't know within the confines of what we're talking about? Like,
Well,
can
so-
you be submitted? Can a woman be submitted in a relationship?
Well, we
Like,
need to break-
but I think that in itself is its own cycle because of
We need to bring
like you have to actually know what you're like when you
See
say
what's the
submit.
difference here.
Like if we have a very vague version of submit, if we're talking just purely compromise and hey, you take some stress, you ain't got to be in a fucking marriage to just have somebody take some stress off your shit. But if we really get into like the idea of like, as Todd said, where like somebody's leading you, maybe, but we got to define it to get to that point. So we can't speak about whether we're willing to do something or not if we don't have a definition of what said thing is. That's what I'm saying.
I definitely agree with Taj's definition on what it is, as far as like what submission should look like.
Then let's clear. I think first let's do that, and then the building block of that is when, in which then we can get into like the next conversation. It seems like we got some good opinions on this next
Can
conversation.
Can I just point out that Johnny P never gave his definition?
I didn't get
of
mine either. We let y'all
submission.
Oh
take it away.
we let y'all run.
Hey, this on y'all now. Don't
No,
don't try to bring it back
nah,
on- This on y'all now.
I'm just trying to bring, I'm just trying to bring it back around to say that you never
Johnny
gave
P.
us your
Johnny P.
definition.
My
What is
nigga.
given what you have heard from these illustrious
Well, yeah,
ladies,
based on the answers I've heard and what y'all said, I will say
that nigga
submission.
sitting up. Go ahead, bro.
Submission sounds more like, especially the way Ty's been leading, being head of household,
Yeah.
and making those decisions. Now, compromise, that's something that everybody has to do within the confines of, within the
relationship,
definition
yeah.
of a relationship. Everybody's going to have to make some type of compromise. Man, woman, everybody's going to have to compromise in a
so
relationship.
Could I guess I asked this question.
Yeah.
So are we going to kind of? Never mind. My bad.
Ask the
I ain't mean to
You
interject.
can ask the question.
Yeah,
No.
but yeah,
Because I think that I would have minimized our responses by asking the question. So I want to wait to say that.
Okay, but I think submission, what she said, submission goes to leadership, and
Yeah.
who's going to be like the leader of the household. And when you're talking about leadership, it changes, especially even the answer I said last week. It changes that a little bit when you bring that
Gotcha.
word leadership into it. Excuse me. Who's going to be, the leader? Who's going to be head of household? I think that changes the question or changes my answer to it.
Oh well, what I'll say, and I guess is it my turn?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Hey, and I want to double back. I'm not gonna be long winded because I want to double back. I agree with what Todd said. Like to me, that ending portion, that's what I agree with. Like to me, the definition of submission is allowing someone to lead. You have it's submission, submit. That would pretty much,
Yeah.
be saying that someone is having a say so above mine. Like I'm allowing someone to have the last say so versus me being combative and all of those things to said direction that is being given.
Yes.
That was it.
I agree with that. I think that the way between Taj and even more specifically, like your little nuance in what you said, allowing somebody to have say so inside a specific arena and venue inside your relationship. I think that in to me is well. In the traditional sense, if we take it to that, I think Taj spoke on the traditional side of it. This can
make
throw
sure
real
make
quick.
sure you make sure because y'all be throwing me on. Well, ain't no throwing. I be on the traditional side. So what exactly were you saying traditional about what she said?
Oh, it's like the general idea of like man as head of household
Oh,
and
okay, come on.
him kind of having like that general ending space.
Gotcha.
I think that it does lead us. So we can pivot two ways, right? We
Let's
can pivot to the juicy conversation of like when is submission like that space. And I think well no let's go there. All right. When do you believe that it is important? And this was the other one that I wanted to say. Does a man submit in a relationship? But so I want to make sure I get both of those things out.
Yeah.
In which I think both of them juicy questions.
They are.
But right now we're staying just inside like the traditional sense of it. When is it important, or when do you think that time frame of submission should be?
Time frame. Is that what you're asking right now?
Yeah.
Based on time frame.
Time frame. As we have defined it, what do you think the time frame for submission should be?
Honestly, me myself, based on just me myself, I would say it's not really based on time, as in time on the clock. To me, days, months,
Okay.
weeks, years. To me, is whenever you want to get serious with the relationship because you don't know what this relationship is going to be like until you've gotten into
So would you
that
say
role.
dating phase? Like y'all know y'all like each other? Would
No,
you say
I'm
like
saying-
when you boyfriend girlfriend?
What I'm saying is
You
y'all
done put a
still.
ring on him,
What
motherfucker?
I'm saying
What
is
we
that because the thing is, this idea that you can just turn that shit on like it's a flip a switch shit. That's not real.
Okay.
That is a learned behavior. It is a learned behavior over time. Then you'll know if you can do it because you've done it. It ain't no shit where, this has been a year and bloop, I'm just gonna
I'ma
flip the
start
switch.
submitting
Oh, I
now.
just got a ring, so I'm gonna just start. You may do it with the ring. You may do that shit for 30 days, but what happens when you get in year 3, 4? This is something that is a learned behavior. The consistency of it is what really
So what
makes
you're
it
saying
submission.
is that a woman should submit early.
No, I said that whenever she's ready to get serious, at whatever point.
So how do you
it is to
define
take him
serious?
serious.
I don't know what that means.
I define the serious as looking for the long haul. Looking for, if you believe in marriage, that means looking for that the rest of your life partner.
Well,
Whenever you found somebody that because my thing is, at the end of the day, I think that you may
so a
want
woman
to kind of.
go ahead, my bad.
I would say that like because you can't just flip a switch, there may be some areas in which I don't know how to, as a woman, how to really tell them how to go about it. But I do know that you can't just flip a switch and then just all of a sudden you're submissive. That's just like saying, I want a man that can be a leader, and then niggas be like, yeah, well, I'm gonna flip the switch when I get a good woman, and I'm gonna be a
I
leader.
ain't never heard one nigga say that.
Oh, you ain't gonna hear it because
But
niggas
you do
don't.
hear that submission
But you
part.
see what I'm saying?
I feel what you're saying.
It's like the same thing. You want submission, they want leadership. So a nigga can't flip a switch and say, "Oh, I'm a leader," and then just fucking learn. I know how to lead.
So
I
what
think-
you
It's a learned behavior.
Well, no,
But-
I was gonna say I think submission should come, and I'm single, so I'm
Hey,
not
yeah.
speaking.
You see him
from
sitting up
experience.
again?
Hey, real quick, I think that this would be a spot where I think this is what makes our show really, really interesting is the fact that we are 3 black fellas that are different places in life but are also inside generally similar places. Like, we're all like what would be classified as middle class. We're all
Yeah.
inside our 30s,
Yeah.
and we're all, you know what I mean, inside different phases.
Some of us
As
more in
Rail
their
is
30s
married,
than others.
I'm inside a relationship, Johnny is dating. So these opinions, it does represent a very a decent vast diversity
Oh
of a
yeah.
specific space,
Oh yeah.
and I think that it's very important. Like, I'll throw back to Johnny.
Oh no, I was just gonna say when it comes to and like I say, these are theories, but I
Yeah.
think when it comes to submission, uh, it should come once both parties are committed to the future. As
Hmm.
far as committed to working together, committed to being towards each other, as far as building something. If you're not committed, or if you don't know, like, oh, I see this going long term, you shouldn't necessarily be submitting to somebody that you're just trying to figure it out with. Or
Yeah.
as a man, you shouldn't be trying to ask a woman if you don't even know if you like her like that to submit to you if you don't know if you're gonna be the right leader for it. So I think it comes once to a point once both parties are committed to the relationship and committed to, like you say, only thing that makes a relationship work is two people that make that decision. So I think once you get to that point, then you can start looking at a little more than compromise and looking at submission and who should really lead and certain stuff like that. This is my opinion. I ain't always right about this shit. So
Nigga, you ain't gotta add the little. You stand
Right.
on that shit, my nigga.
That
Stand on
nigga,
that.
hey,
he, he,
You
he
wasn't
left his
wrong. I
out.
mean, I agree with what you said too. Just stand on that, bro.
That nigga left his out. It's all right, bro.
So thanks for bringing up compromise because it's something that we haven't touched much on. We've been talking about more of submission. But do you feel that when it comes to submission, that a woman, well, let me dial it back before we touch on compromise. Do you feel that a woman has to submit first in your situation where you're saying a committed relationship, marriage, you're dating with intention, like you guys are locked in? Do you feel in those scenarios that a woman has to submit first?
Do you think men submit?
Right.
Yes, I
Oh,
do.
okay,
certain
okay.
aspects I
What
do.
what is a man? Well, no, I agree. I agree because like in my life, I had to acknowledge child rearing, like the child rearing, and
Yeah.
you know when initially every time Newton said this shit, I'm like, nigga, that sound like some bitch ass
Some
shit to
sucker
me.
shit.
Yeah, but then it's like like I love the conversations because I'm learning and growing every single time we have these conversations. So it's
Yeah.
so dope. But yeah, when he was saying, I'm like, nah. But anyways, I've learned that like there are areas in which I've submitted in my
Okay.
relationship. And just by definition, like yeah, I've submitted in my relationship. I've my wife leads in different areas, and I lead in different areas. You know what I mean? I think it may take some time to get to a point to where you can actually really define those places in which everybody is like what you're actually good at, better than me at, type thing. You know what I mean? But I think that like I've definitely found like that I've submitted in areas for my wife. Child, like she does a lot more of that. She teaches my daughter more than I do. You know what I mean? She actually sitting down teaching, and she's learning her patience. She has more patience than I do. You know what I mean? So she's much better at teaching my kids than I am. You know what I mean? At this age, I
Yeah.
feel like as they get older, maybe I'll be able to. You know what I mean?
Step in.
Step in and help in that area a little bit more. But like, and you know what I mean? She's the one who feeds the family. She's the one who creates the diet for the family. Not only, and see, that's the thing. Like, we got to get over this whole like demeaning those roles that women played in the traditional
Yeah,
stance.
they
Bro,
matter.
they were literally the reason for the health and strength of the family, which is the whole shit that kept the family alive. That's more important than the paper because you can't make the paper without being fucking
You can't
alive.
pay bills if you hungry. Or if
Exactly.
you
Come on now,
starving, you
we
can't
just
go out
demean
and
that
get the
shit. But
bread.
so yes, I have submitted to my wife in certain areas in our relationship. Oh, I had a question. It's an ignorant question, but
All right,
it's
but
one for the women
ignorance
in the
always
back.
good.
This one for the women in the back. They got like this one. See, they sent the text and I just checked it.
All right, cool. Submission, men submitting.
It's on somebody, not me. So I don't know which one of y'all gonna go.
I mean, I said it last week. I do think men submit,
Ooh.
even after having listened to the conversation. I listened to everybody's definition. Uh, I don't think I was off base with that. I think there is portions of where men do submit in relationships. Now, most of what men do, I think, in a relationship is compromise, but there are certain aspects where you do have to let especially if you're in a long-term committed relationship, kids are involved. There is a spot where you're gonna have to you're gonna have to submit to your woman and let her lead in certain aspects. So I don't think I was off base. I
Yeah,
think
crazy thing. I just thought Newton was on some bullshit when he said that last week.
I would say when it pertains, just going staying to do men submit. Yes, I think that, but I would go like a couple steps further inside. Like I think that it is important, especially inside the lane of whatever version. Well, I'm gonna just speak inside modern relationships today, where two people are working and two people have expertise inside different fields, in which sometimes it's not always important that one person is leading the reins of whatever we're leading. I think that when it really comes down to it, whether like say, I know plenty women that work in finance, and her final say might be the smarter thing because that's what she's doing.
Oh yeah.
Like bro work at a call center and she works in finance. How much sense does it make that he's leading inside this specific capacity, right? I think that there is submission inside different spaces, and I don't know if we want to get into like the overarching thing where when it comes down to like real family dynamics and who has to like take a back seat and then submit. It seems like we're speaking more surface level inside like the example that I just gave, where like if somebody has better expertise inside a space, it is okay to submit to that specific space. Big Taj, what's up?
I was going to ask, based on your example, do you feel that in those situations where, one partner has more expertise than the other, well, the woman has more expertise in the area than the man having an issue with that, do you think that's a pride thing?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I would definitely say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything unless this person has research and is like well versed and all
Yeah.
da.
Probably not though.
But
I
yes,
think
probably not. And this is also a thing inside traditional relationships that people don't really like speak about and talk about. You know who actually handled the majority of the finance portion was the woman. Like
Facts.
making sure the bills was paid
Yeah, facts.
and all this shit.
the accounting,
Yes,
Yeah,
the
accounting for the
accounting.
family for
like,
sure.
That's
accounting.
actually
like checkbook,
And
and
see,
like my
bruh.
mama taught me how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
Like when it come to like writing and doing and this is how much money come in and this is what we do with it. This much go here. That Pops just brought the money in.
Exactly.
Mom Dukes did. Once the money and Mom Dukes brought her own money in too. I ain't gonna do that to Mom Dukes, but
You ain't gonna do that to mom, dude.
no, I love it. Shout out Mom Dukes.
Shout out Mom Dukes.
Shout
All
out
love
Mom
Mom
Dukes.
Dukes.
Just shout out Mom Dukes.
Facts,
But
facts.
when it came down to accounting, and like my mom did that, like she was an accountant. So when it came down to running the books, that was her. Like she had the records and stuff. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, nah, but-
there are certain. And what I was gonna say, yeah, when your question, I don't think it's a pride thing. I think it's a ego thing. Cause I think that it's good to have pride, but ego is when it catches you up and it keeps you from allowing your relationship or whatever you got going on to flourish. When you stand in the way, it's not pride anymore. That's your ego.
We gotta
It's your
define
ego
those
talking.
terms next
I was
time.
just going to ask what's the difference, because in my mind, I think I just conflate them to the same thing.
Yeah, let's save that one
Well,
because I think that's another. You know what I mean? For us
we
to
can go
define
there,
some
but
terms.
Yeah.
we could definitely go there. But that's just my caveat on the pride question. I think it's more of an ego thing, but we ain't got to harp on that. We ain't got to.
Before we get away, I guess it would be good to make sure that we put a pin on our podcast definition of submission. How are we defining that?
I'll let you go.
Like
Quint.
we had a lot of like agreements on what was said, but where do we stake the pin at?
I guess in like from my what I've gathered is pretty much the willfulness to allow someone to lead in a specific area.
Okay,
Versus
I'm fair on that.
versus compromise is giving in to something that you wouldn't normally do, and that's something that happens on every side. It's more about an action or a sacrifice versus leadership.
We need a to be fair dictionary. We have to like start like writing these things down because of when we get inside like these further conversations later on down the
We're
line.
gonna have to
people can
reference
follow.
back
we
to
we
this.
gonna have to make sure we reference back to our exact definition that we agree upon. But I agree upon it. Yeah, I think that that's good. You
So,
had
yeah.
some heat that you had
I got a
you wanted to
question,
get off.
and this is you know what I mean for the from the women, all of the other women in the back that was texting me while we was having this. Fact, that's not real. I was just talking. Um, hey, do you think that a man in a relationship in general, and when I say in general, I guess I'm gonna just shit. They want me to spell it out. Broke niggas.
Okay.
Do you think broke niggas? And let's first. I think we should ask Taj. Do you think broke niggas deserve submission?
Going
Okay, so
viral.
when you think about submission and the way that we defined it is a man leading, right? I think when you think about submission and leading, if you can't lead yourself, how are you going to lead me? So therefore, if you don't know how to balance your finances, you're in debt. You're just when they say broke people, this is what they're talking about, right? This is what I'm assuming.
Okay.
Like you can't lead your finances. You can't you're doing paycheck to paycheck. You have hella debt, whatever it is. It's like how can you lead me and you can't lead yourself out of that financial situation? Now, mind you, everybody isn't going to be the 6-figure earner, and that's okay. But the thing that people need to realize is that when you're talking about leading, there is a monetary aspect that comes with that. You do have to have some type of income level because when women are
Proof of
saying,
concept.
Stability.
yeah, exactly, stability. So if I'm putting my eggs into your basket and saying, "Hey, I'm going to be vulnerable enough, and I'm going to back up for you to lead me," I want to know that you have the financial wherewithal to lead me in the right direction.
Gotcha.
Right.
So, to go off of that, just thinking about everything that we talked about, I can see why they would say broke guys don't deserve submission. I could see that because if you're broke and you're telling me that I should kind of let you lead, I don't feel comfortable with that because I'm better off managing my finances and doing what I'm doing as opposed to taking your advice because which you're not showing me what you're saying.
All right.
Understood.
Sex don't have nothing to do if he blowing the back out.
No,
Overnight.
because
That
even
has nothing to do with it. That don't
listen.
like that. Don't matter.
That's
I'm
exactly
just
what he
question.
said.
I'm just asking.
You said good dick deserves submission.
I
I don't
just
know,
question.
bro.
I just asking.
Now, I would say, as far as that, she might cook you a meal, she might rub your back and cater to you and stuff like that. But as far as her putting her livelihood into your hands, and you can give me good sex, but if you still don't have financial literacy or anything, why am I going to sit here and still listen to you? Like there are other things I might do, but I'm not about to sit here and trust you with that. That's for sure.
I was just asking. I was just wondering how
right.
much.
Who want to take it? Big Johnny, you going?
I might repeat the question again, bro, so I
Nigga,
can.
easy. Do broke niggas deserve submission?
Nah. I mean, I'd say nah. I mean, like if you broke in today's society when it's this, like, you fucking up something. Like there's other red flags to me, opposed you just being broke. It means you not responsible.
All right, so
You
I asked
lazy.
this question. So what if it's two broke people in a relationship?
Oh, a broke chick and a broke dude.
Right. All right, but hold on. Matter of fact, all right. So I ain't even going to spit it inside the comedic.
Y'all niggas, hey, just stop dating.
My hold on. Let me,
Yo,
I'm not
it's
going to
dark.
spit it inside like a funny way. So we might have to define what broke means, right? Because of truthfully,
We're not talking about broke
though
in.
we are
Not broken.
no.
Just
But
finance.
what I'm saying is that in today's time, right? Like we may consider ourselves as middle class, but we're also still a
Broke.
minority. No, not
I
broke.
still consider myself broke.
Oh well, that's cool. But here's the reality, though, right? Like the space in which most people inside, like a single person, like I think that what is it? Like the single parent, not single parent, but like household income together for two people is maybe like 60. It's between like 55 and 60,000. So that means you extrapolate that and put that each person. That shit's really not that high.
Yeah.
I say broke.
In which like that would then be considered living at the poverty level, in which a lot of people are at. So then are we saying that inside the average or most relationships, submission is not a thing that is required? Or so what are we saying like inside that sense when we define out broke because of are we saying broke in the sense of like you don't have a job
I mean, are you-
or whatever, or are we talking about what average people actually make and that the average family doesn't the average people inside the average family doesn't deserve submission?
So let me ask you this,
I mean,
dude.
what's your definition of broke? Like, is it under 40K
I
a year?
just
That's what he
But
said.
that's what
that's what I'm saying.
but
Like,
I'm saying to me, I think like if you don't make 40 grand a year, like as a
but it's
person,
mad. All right, so I'm gonna be
This
funky.
nigga
I'm gonna
that
keep it funky
goddamn-
with you.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep it funky with you. Like, though sometimes we have to step away from our privilege, right? I think that all three of us who make over 40K, it's not even a thing that we think about and blink on. But an overwhelming majority people are not like so.
And that's-
Making 40K, you're clearing over 20 an hour. Most people aren't clearing over 20 an hour. This is the fact. Like, no matter how you want to cut it, shave it, that's
Yeah.
not a thing.
so 15 an hour, 40 hours a week. How much is that?
30.
That's 30,000.
That's 30. Yes.
30,000. Okay, so maybe I'm thinking under 30 instead of 40. But under 30
Yeah, no, and I ain't even.
is broke.
I think it's more. It's more of a stability thing. I ain't really saying
And
like. I ain't really saying
and
like
that's what
a
I'm saying. I
dollar
think-
amount because you can
I
make
think that
30
that's the
and
better way to
I
look
agree
at
with
it.
you can make 30 and have your own place and you know what I mean. Be working on something. You know
Well,
what
you
I mean?
can't really have your own place.
Yeah, I'm talking about now, maybe not in Charlotte. You know what I mean? You gonna be in goddamn. You maybe Concord.
You gonna be in
may
Monroe or
find somewhere.
Gastonia.
Lincolnton.
Yeah, you out
Yeah,
there.
it may take a little
Matthews.
South Carolina.
Statesville.
Yeah.
You
But
may
no,
have to
let's
travel.
stay to it. Stay
But
to it.
yeah, you may have to travel, but that's why I think it's more about, and like that's my thing. Like any of you hear me say, it's position over paper. That's me all day. Like that's what I strongly believe and stand on. It's not about paper. It's about position, because and that's why I say stability. Just you know what I mean, having something that you having yourself in a stable environment, being able to because first off, in
So
order
the
to get
broke
from one
niggas
place to the
deserve
next.
submission then. Because
Yeah. See,
you could be
you know
quote
the funny
unquote
thing?
like due to like whatever the statistical means is broke.
Right.
But you can have a job, be stable,
Right.
40 an hour. And I think that inside the way that we describe it, I can see where submission can be a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that if you just broke in the sense of don't have a job, don't have anything going for you, that you should be somebody that anybody should submit to. I don't think that that's a thing at all. But if you're a person that is stable, but you're not a high earner, I do look at it as a little bit different. I want to make sure we be fair inside the
Yeah,
conversation.
and then see the
that's
thing
cool.
was I
That's
brought
cool.
the conversation. I actually brought the question up because of the way that I feel about it. I know it's one of those enticing, controversial things to bring up, but the reason that I brought it up was because I think that if you're stable, because you may not have gotten yourself in the right rooms, you may not have, but then there comes a level of confidence that comes with that as well. So I think that just because you don't deserve it now don't mean that you can't grow into it. And the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of us sell ourselves short and fuck around and we'll do something that is not necessarily beneath us, but we don't have the confidence to take our, you know what I mean, to take ourselves to that next level.
Okay.
And then if you don't have the confidence to take yourself to the next level, I can understand her not, you know what I mean, having the confidence and you taking the family to the next level, which means that, you know,
I think
it's a
that
slippery slope.
like capitalism in America, there's only but so many high earning positions. Like it just kind of just cut.
Oh yeah,
and dry.
but there's a lot of different ways to push a penny out nowadays.
Sure, and there's a lot of ways to lose a penny as well. But then as well, if we get into like the ideas of yesteryear, where whether this is mom or the dad not being able to actually be a father or a mother in a household because you're working 2 and 3 jobs or whatnot. Like then we get into that thing where yes, it's a lot of ways to push a penny, but how many of those ways take you away from the house? And then we get into that fatherhood, motherhood conversation.
Pushing it deeper. I get it. I'm not mad at that. But and then what I will say as well is that I think that for a man, this is just my opinion. For a man, you should prioritize. Like I get, spending time with your kids. You want to get that in, but you should as a man, I think you should prioritize getting that stability, and pushing the family forward. And you know what I mean? Get your time in when you can get it in. But that, as the man, I feel like that is the priority, at least for me. And like you say, it's crazy we sit there and talk
It's
about
tough.
like
I think that
the submission, like men. Maybe it's the woman's. Maybe she's a better grinder than you are. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't say that that's something that you know what I
I
mean?
got you. I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was like some high earning people, but the way that they make their money is that they're not at home, and they were literally crying on this podcast because of I got to see my kids' games from a phone. I got to see all their major accomplishments from a phone because I'm not able to actually be. But they live a great life. But then I'm not actually able to be there because of my main job is that I got to go get it. I have to completely provide at this excessive level and whatever. And not even putting the word excessive on it, but
Yeah.
because of like that thing. And that's why I threw to a person that I know right now that's away from their house 5 days out the week. Because
Damn.
of,
Paper chase.
right.
And that's why it's not about
providing
paper, it's about
becomes,
position.
Stability. I would.
but, well, I don't know what that means. Exactly. I heard you had said it earlier, but I wasn't exactly sure what you meant. When you say it's not about paper, it's about position, what do you mean?
I mean that it's not chasing the dollar. It's not chasing the dollar. It's chasing the position. So the thing is and when I say position, I'm not talking about, oh, I just want this big ass house.
The position.
Because that falls into
But I guess explain the position part.
the
I don't know
position.
what position
Okay.
means.
The position is being in a position to have the needs met. The
Being in a
position needs, not all this extra shit, this big ass house and all this shit. Because that's paper shit. To me, that position is more of like, I'm in a position, like, not me myself, I'm just saying, just being able to say I'm in a position where my family's fed and I am able to spend time with my family. That's a position versus just
Right.
chasing
All right,
paper.
so I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
that, to me, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Is where, like,
'Cause you don't have
if
to-
you just prioritize the idea of I have to go make a bunch of money for my family.
Exactly.
Then you end up again crying because you see all your kids' accomplishments because of, hey, you know who makes the most money? Truck drivers. Guess where they always at?
On the road.
My bad. They
Not
don't make
truck
the
driver,
most
yeah,
money,
yeah, but
but
make a good bit of money.
they're a job that people that don't have a high level of expertise can get into and make a bunch of money.
Yeah,
Make
yeah.
sure I define that out properly.
Not for sure.
But then guess what? You miss a bunch of different things depending on which version of a truck driver you are. So yeah, Big Ties. You got something?
To piggyback off what you were saying, because it automatically made my mind go to the kids and their relationships with the parents. So, for example, my dad was an out-of-state truck driver ever since I was a little girl. He's still an out-of-state truck driver now, but he has more flexibility over his schedule. Like he's not out-of-state anymore. He's local. But just thinking about
That's
like
big.
growing up, my mom handled my day-to-day, but I didn't have it was a certain point in time when me and my dad didn't have that close relationship because he wasn't around because he had to work.
Right.
My mom provided my day-to-day and my dad provided financially. So when it came to just making sure I was fed, making sure I went to bed on time, did my homework, all that stuff my mom handled. When I needed something like, hey, Dad, I need clothes. Hey, this has to be paid for. This needs to be funded. He was the person that do that. So I'm thinking about kids growing up now and how when you have one parent that's constantly out the household, how that could be somewhat of a strain on that relationship. And it's not so much of a closeness because although you love your child, when children are a certain age, they don't really fully understand that, hey, mom or dad has to be out the house because we have to work.
Right.
You could tell them that, but what they internalize is mom and dad isn't here. So that's where my mind automatically went, was to just the relationship with the parents and their children. So that would explain why they were on the phone crying because you are missing that closeness with your child. There are things, especially when a child is young, they grow so quick. Day to day is something new. So if you're not in the house, you're missing a lot of things.
Yeah.
But that was all I had to say.
And that's why I always and I know we understand this but just for people, I think that we have to stop with this whole paper shit. We need to really understand that it doesn't take $1 million to live like a millionaire. It doesn't take $1 million. See, our lack of understanding of money and credit and how to utilize and leverage and all of these things. And I'm not no master at it, but what I'm saying is that you want the biggest way that you can actually live a different lifestyle is to keep your overhead low. If you keep your overhead low, then you could actually, that's literally just traveling. You ain't got to get the Tesla, that Benz, that S550 you've been talking about. You ain't got to get that. You go and get you a little, you know what I mean? Something that's going to be $250 a month, $180 a month. You know what I mean? You get your credit together, then you probably mess around and be able to.
What's the 180 cars? I need a 180 car.
Oh, yeah,
That's
no,
a different
it. But
type
see,
of car.
you know what I mean?
Are you talking about leasing?
Now you
Oh
talking about
no,
that Tesla with the
I
autopilot,
ain't talking
like
about
that
no
shit that
Nah,
Tesla.
drive.
ain't no
I ain't
Tesla
talking about no
180 a month.
Tesla.
What you talking about?
Oh, you talking about 180 a
A
month?
month,
Okay.
yeah. I was
Yeah,
talking about a month.
yeah.
I was talking
Get
about
You
a
you.
say you
month.
talking about monthly
Listen,
payments,
Oh,
not
Yeah.
$180 a month?
$150.
Yeah.
listen.
Oh, that's a scooter.
No, you get
Oh
you a
no, you
used
can.
Honda.
That's a
Yeah,
Get
scooter.
you an older
bro. The
Honda,
thing
That's a
is,
scooter.
and you're good.
at the end of the day, and like I'm a car guy. I'm a car guy. So like a car is something like that
Yeah,
wouldn't be a good. You know
It
what I mean?
depreciates once you drop it off the
yeah.
Yeah,
lot.
I'll
that
say
ain't a
this: the
good.
average car payment right now is $700 a month.
They
Who?
fucking up.
I'm
That's
That's
the
blessed.
all of
average.
them
I don't
goddamn
understand
I'm
charges and
that.
blessed.
Bro,
challenges.
that's the average
That's
new car
the
payment.
I
And
don't
I'm
under.
not
My car
capping.
nigga.
payment's under
That is the
300.
But
average.
I don't understand
you
that.
gotta think we all probably got our cars way before this new love bump
Bruh,
Y'all
happened.
did, bro. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
easily,
the
that
average
new
new
bump
car
happened.
But
price.
let me
these
reel it back
niggas.
in real quick before I lose my point. But to
Okay.
go off of you, to go off of what Rel was saying, people. I don't think people are comfortable living below their means because aesthetically it's not pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like people want to go out and buy things so they can show it off, and therefore you trying to keep up with the Joneses put you in a further hole as opposed to just living below your means, and you could have so much more financial freedom.
They want
But my
the
problem is,
Terramana.
where does that
No, they
come
want the
from?
Casamigos, not the
But
Terramana.
where does the
That's what
fact
it is.
where does the being unable to live below your means, like
Still from.
that come from the
I think
internet age?
not only that, I think it
Social
also
Think so?
too. I think it also too comes with your parent pivots,
Nah.
right? Like I
Go
know
both.
girls that were like their parents would bend over backwards. They don't have the money, but they're gonna go out and get them those name brand things. They don't have the money, and they might have to file for bankruptcy. They might not be able to pay something, but
Yeah,
they're gonna go
say
out and make sure their
it's
child is
social
has the
media.
newest and
But
has the
That's why
newest
all the
and
niggas in
latest.
poverty
that
get
was
Jordans back
pre-internet.
then.
That was
Yeah,
that
that's what
was
I
you
was.
was
It's
worried
definitely
about
not social
keeping up
media.
with the
Yeah,
that was
and
the
that's the
pre-internet
thing.
trying to keep up with the Joneses, and
Yeah, and
like
that's
black we
still
shouldn't worry.
going.
Now,
That's
but
what
my
I'm saying.
thing,
That's
right,
still
we could
going.
I
You
wish
still
we could
see
have
it on
gotten
social
to this other
media.
conversation, but
Really,
I think in
drop the
general,
boat.
like we have to like stop fake comparing shit to yesteryear because everything used to happen back then too, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because of back in the day, let's not act like we didn't know a bunch of people in poverty with the newest Jordans every single time.
Facts.
Exactly.
Niggas at the bus stop with the new
Yeah,
Jordans on
yeah,
That's
at the
what I'm
bus
saying. It's
stop.
still
Yeah.
happening. It's just
yeah.
now you see it on
Social
social
media ain't do
media.
that.
So you saying it happened pre-internet?
It was
Yeah,
pre-internet for
this is
sure.
this has
Yeah.
Absolutely.
always
Yes, sir.
been a thing.
But
Yes,
that was
sir.
called keeping up with the Joneses. But I think the internet just exacerbated that.
In
And
what way? Like niggas always been trying to live above their means.
No, for
When
sure.
have they not?
well, now
The
niggas got.
flyest niggas you know spend most money on
Well,
shit.
they used to call
be
that
poor
shit.
people.
I mean, but I
Nah,
think
facts.
that
Niggas be having all of this shit and be at the apartments. In the apartments like a motherfucker got
To the
all of
apartment.
the shit.
Yeah.
That's
so
a fact.
I mean, okay. If
And that
it's,
goes back to stability. If you just spending your money frivolously, like back to the question that the girls had asked you about, do broke dudes deserve submission? You just out spending your money frivolously. You're spending what? How much
Didn't
are
no girl
Jordans? I
ask
don't
me nothing
know.
fat. I came up with that off the cuff.
I don't know how much Jordans are. I've never bought a pair, but I know that they're expensive. I know they're hard to get. I know they resell and all that other stuff. But like if you're just spending your money frivolously, then I can't really trust that.
Yeah.
Understood.
All right. Well, I think we've hit on enough sides to that. Put a pin in it.
Let's put a pin.
All right. Johnny, we throwing to that positive takeaway.
oh yeah, y'all ready to do it now? Y'all.
Yeah,
let's
let's
hop
get
into
into
it.
it. Let's get into it.
It is time for the positive takeaway. I guess mine will be. I was watching the Muhammad Ali clip earlier. It kind of
Goated.
goes to the fact of I don't think we even really touched on it this week. We'll probably come back next week about are black men able to think freely, and that was one of the things where like he was giving an interview and the motherfucker kept on trying to call him Cassius Clay.
Oh yeah,
And
I
he was
remember that.
and he was like Muhammad Ali,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like Cassius Clay. He was like Sir Muhammad Ali, and he was trying to speak to him like, nah, I don't subscribe to your system of thinking anymore. I'm on this, and you got to respect that. And then the guy he eventually said, or Muhammad Ali, he eventually said it.
Right.
But it comes down even to like that Kanye thing, or even motherfuckers like Louis Farrakhan and
They want to
Black-
make you who they comfortable with.
or me and my homeboy was talking about they used to be like in America, we're a place where we say we're better than like China and Russia and all these other countries because we have freedom of speech and we're freedom of speech. But do we really have freedom of speech if they're trying to cancel free thought? And it's like we gotta get back as to a people. We gotta just get back to thinking for yourself and free thought. And I see that a lot, and I see people doing.
As
That's
the
my
people, did
positive.
we ever have free thought?
Yes, we definitely did. I
When
think there was times where we had free. I
when?
think
This is
there's
a
been.
positive takeaway,
Oh, my
brother.
bad. My
Uh,
bad. My bad. My bad. My
you
bad.
said if black people ever
No,
had.
I didn't say anything. Finish your positive
Okay,
takeaway.
but I see.
My bad.
We can do that next week, bro.
Right.
I'm
Right.
Yeah.
okay with doing that. But my positive takeaway was I see black people being able to think outside of the social media and the media boxes more so. And I think that is a positive thing. Even going back to like in historic examples, people like Muhammad Ali, but there's people like Kanye West now. There's been people like Louis Farrakhan. That's my positive takeaway.
You
It's
got
just
to add the honorable on my man name
the
when you
the
speak my
the,
man
the
name out.
honorable minister Louis Farrakhan. I ain't trying to disrespect the fruit. Hey, I don't want no smoke with the fruit. The honorable minister Louis Farrakhan. I ain't gonna disrespect that man at all. But
Mm-hmm.
it goes to my point as far as free thought amongst black people has been something that they've been afraid of. And the more we lean into it, the
Mm.
more afraid they will be. So I encourage all my black brothers to be, free thinkers. Fuck what somebody tell you to think. Think what you think.
Gotcha. Um, I guess I can hop in, and I'll take the
It
next
got
one.
to be positive though. That's the positive takeaway.
Right.
I was about to go crazy next, but what I would say is, huh? I don't have one planned, so I'm just gonna kind of go off the cuff of something that I seen earlier that I thought was a poignant point, and it's something positive to take away. It was I took something positive from it. Uh, where I was watching, there's some guys on the manosphere and shit, right? Like the just general. Well, I don't even know. One, I think I think I maybe the word would be lost. I didn't. One of my callings back in high school, I probably should have joined the debate team because I just be watching like debates online and shit. That'd be like one of my major things. I'll look at vegan debates. I'll look at fucking like existential, like anything. If you debating something, I just like hearing two sides of a coin.
Fix your character for sure.
But I was listening to this conversation with some people that are
Hey,
inside
oh
that
my bad. I
sphere.
don't mean it.
Go ahead.
Bro, it's something so simple as like you just think about like niggas laughing that quick. That wasn't a negative comment. Just in our fucking society now, you didn't handle it that way.
Uh-huh.
But just that like the two little laughs and shit
I
that could have
laughed
literally
because it
made
was
you defensive.
absolutely, it's
Oh no! I'm
absolutely
not
true.
saying.
I
Only thing I'm
laughed because
saying.
I agreed with you.
No. I'm not saying that what you did was negative, but it could
Oh.
have promoted a negative response, in which
Uh-huh.
that is not what happened. Do you
Oh
see what I'm
yeah.
saying?
No, I get you.
Yeah, but
But
go ahead. My
yeah.
bad. I ain't even mean it to be that long. But go ahead.
I ain't
Um.
had no negative laughs in the positive takeaway. Neither.
But no. But I think that maybe I can sum it up with stand on that, right? And that term, that statement, and what you hear a lot of guys and men speak about is like this accountability piece, and they want to hold women accountable for all this different shit
Right.
or whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But when some shit go awry on your hand, how do you handle it? Do you blame all outside sources and talk about how this thing, the Matrix did this, the system did that, this person did that, but where is your personal accountability laid? And I think that like if you are a person that preaches accountability, stand on that. Whatever your principles are in general, stand on that. And I think that that's an important thing where like whatever your perspective and your viewpoint and your morals and principles lie at in life, it's cool. Stand on it. So even not when it's good and you can critique other people from it, but when it's actually that moment where you got to really stand on it.
When you got to take the critique.
Yeah, like when it applies to you and that shit hurt, but hey, I got to stand on it. Stand on that. It's my positive takeaway.
No, Jim.
Stand on that.
I guess.
Down that hill.
Well, you ain't got to down no hill.
Don't down no hills and shit.
No, but if you talking accountability, that's a positive trait. Stand on the accountability. Big
Yeah,
facts.
and still be teachable.
Yeah.
I say my positive takeaway for the day, and I wore these shirts quite a few times. Yeah, I mean, my positive takeaway gonna be loyalty, love different. Loyalty, love's different.
Loyalty,
I say that in
love's
everything.
different.
We was talking about parenting. What are we talking about with your old lady? What are we talking about? And I ain't gonna say with your job. If you working for yourself, then you know what I mean. Then loyalty, love's different. But I can't say that at the job because they, man, don't care too much about you're replaceable. So not with him. But yeah, the loyalty love different. We got sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts. You know what I mean? We're gonna push them out, man. It's really, to me, it's really about being uh, just creating I feel like you, what you wear represents you more than what we've seen it previously. I feel like growing up, like, you know, the tall tees and the, you know, the jabos and all these different things that really, if
Those are,
anything, the connotation was more negative or like urban, and you know what I
but
mean. It
those
didn't
are,
really say a lot about the individual because I knew dudes from all different walks of, you know what I mean, that would wear certain things.
but
But I
those
think
are.
we go ahead.
I was gonna say those are brands that we built like without even knowing it.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
and now
facts.
you talking about switching that up. That's a different like just
Yeah,
marketing conversation. That's very. I fuck with that. Like we gotta wear shit that actually means something for us,
yeah.
as opposed to making money for these other groups. You know.
I think
Yeah.
you ain't got enough drinking yet.
Who's that?
Yeah,
Dude? Oh
Johnny.
yeah. You know what happened.
Y'all thought I was
You
finna
know
go
what
there.
happened with
Y'all thought I was finna go there.
he
Nah,
get that
Yeah,
93 in him.
yeah,
Yeah, he
ain't
got
there
cold.
yet. Get him another shot. Go ahead,
And
bro.
but shoot, yeah, loyalty, love different, man. I feel like, you know what I mean, and it's something to stand on too.
Yeah,
Like wearing it, it's like it's a character trait that comes with it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's something that it's you know what I mean. You're I don't know, for me wearing this shit, I just be like, you know what I mean.
It's representative.
Yeah, it's representative of like the shit that I stand for and I walk every day.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's my positive takeaway. You know what I mean? Hit the old head rail at old head rail on Instagram, doggone. We gonna
oh,
get these orders placed.
he plugging it, and since he plugging it, I'll say like, comment, subscribe below, follow us at the To Be Fair Show on Instagram, the To
sure.
Be Fair Show on Facebook,
Yes, sir.
the To Be Fair Show on YouTube.
Yeah,
Check us out for first listens.
yeah.
I don't know if we got one. We got one this week, or they got a
Oh,
first
coming
listen.
soon. We're gonna see when this podcast in, guys.
Y'all stay tuned. Y'all stay tuned. We could have a first listen on Monday for you. But
Yeah.
like, comment, subscribe below. I'm your host, Johnny P,
Old head rail.
It's Q.
and we out.